Welcome back everyone to this video, and I'm going to be giving you my predictions on the Inside Out 2 official trailer, and also be giving you my theories on that trailer and the entire movie, and answering some of your guys' questions that you submitted through my Twitter and my YouTube. So let's get started off with my predictions on the trailer. So I think the trailer will start off right like the first trailer did, where we'll hear "A Bundle of Joy" by Michael Giacchino, and we'll basically get introduced back to all of the other emotions, and then we're probably not going to get too long of an introduction, and we're probably going to get right straight into the brand new emotions, that being envy, ennui, and embarrassment. I do think in this new trailer we will actually get more of a story about this movie because so far we don't really know much about the story. I really hope they don't rehash the first movie again and where joy and some emotion gets stuck outside of headquarters. Like, what if anxiety got stuck at a headquarters? Like, I don't even know how they could do that with the movie. It looks like they're not going to go with that direction again, but I'm curious, how are they going to do this movie if they're just stuck in headquarters their entire time? Also, with this being a Pixar official trailer that's based off of a sequel, you know that they're gonna throw some nostalgia in the trailer. So, what do I exactly think that'll be? Well, I think when Embarrassment comes out, I actually think that Joy might think that's Bing Bong, and then when she realizes it's not, she's gonna be a bit sad, and then the crowd will be like, "Oh my gosh, that's Bing Bong! She said Bing Bong!" Or like we might see the unicorn again from the Dreamland, and we might even see Jingles the Clown again. But I'm not too sure who the villain would be exactly because the first movie technically didn't have a villain. But I'm really excited for this trailer. I'm going to see what your guys' predictions are about the trailer, and let's read a bunch of these questions that you guys sent. Alrighty, our first question comes to us from Papermation 818. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. I bet I am. But he says, he or she, I'm not sure. I feel like there's a new trailer coming out around the time Kung Fu Panda releases, which is next week, or Luca will probably tease the emotions. And well, I actually think this is true because Luca does release in theaters. It has a first time in theaters on March 22nd, and I think the Inside Out 2 trailer will come late March, just like a lot of the Pixar trailers for the last couple of years. So yes, I definitely think this is very true. Before Kung Fu Panda 4, no, I don't think that's likely. But like after Luca or before Luca, definitely. Next question is my Twitter reply from Carmen Cadwell. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. Also, she follows me on Twitter as well, and I follow her on Twitter as well. She's very nice, and thank you. And she writes, "Hopefully, Joy and Sadness share a hug in the movie. I would explore if they did, which I would love if they actually did, like kind of bond. I mean, they technically kind of bonded in some of the trailers, but I do think from the trailers, it looks like Joy's being much more supportive of Sadness in this movie, and I think they definitely will hug, and they will definitely bond a lot more." Next one up is from Nikki RO79565606, and they write, "Maybe Joy will go back to how she was in the first movie, but change back again to show us how she was in the near of the first film." Well, I wouldn't really like that actually, because I feel like they would just be retreading old territory and just doing the exact same thing they did in the last movie. I liked their character development in the last movie. I don't want them to ruin it in this movie. I would like her to be a little bit pessimistic and not like love the new emotions at first, and maybe grow to like them over time, but not exactly like what she did with Sadness. But I do really like this theory here. I mean, hopefully they don't do this in the movie, but thank you for asking me this question. Very good question there. This next one is from Fur Connects, and they write, each time there's a new emotion that's coming, they would have ways to show up, unlike touching the control panel, like anxiety, like changing an emotion, like sadness. I actually think this is true, and I actually think that this will be how they will introduce the other emotions. I mean, I did think that it would just be like showing the other three emotions just coming out of the shadows or the dark. But I think like showing each of them doing their own thing without the other emotions knowing is very clever. Like, what if Riley is just bored in school one day, and then Ennui touches a memory because he's so bored, and Riley's bored too in her class, and then they figure out that there's another new emotion, and then another new emotion. I think that's highly likely that it's gonna happen in the movie. Very good theory, and I think it's gonna be true. Next one is the Twitter one that is someone that replied to me on Twitter, and it's from Nolan Mixel, and they write, maybe the new emotions will become rivals or something with like the originals, given the specific pairing in these shirts. Yeah, I agree as well. Like you see anxiety and fear, which they are pretty similar in themselves. I mean, anxiety is going to be a bit different from fear due to like social anxiety, but like discussed with envy, I do think that's very cute and how their dynamics are. I'm really curious. and I do think they will be kind of rivals, kind of bickering off of each other. Very good theory, and I think this will definitely happen in the movie to give it some nice freshness and originality. Next one is a long one, and it's from Jer Jonah Favorites, and they write, "By Inside Out 2 theory is about the emotional scene that may happen in the movie. Joy will go into the real world, yes, the real world, and tell Riley that everything's going to be okay, and that she will be there with her at the end of the film, and the new emotions will get to know each other with the old emotions. Example, fear and anxiety might be friends in the sequel. I do think they will be friends in the sequel. I don't think Joy will go into the real world, because I have no idea how that's possible. I mean, there was like a deleted scene of Inside Out where Joy actually talked to Riley as like a voice in her head, but they took that out of the film. But like, what would happen if someone's face or like head was like cut in half, and then like the emotions and were like running? Like, how does that work exactly? That's kind of my same question as Wreck It Ralph is like, what happens if the arcade game like just gets destroyed or like cut? Does like all the characters come out? I mean, it's pretty interesting, but I don't think Joy's gonna come out of Riley's head. I think that's highly unlikely, but it is a pretty cool theory, and if it did happen, I would be pretty shocked. Now, next one here is a bit interesting, and this comes to us from the Matt Gang, and he writes, "Make a theory about how anxiety has green eyes instead of orange eyes, because if you look at the characters, their eyes represent their color, and I don't know if you have a theory about this." Well, I kind of don't, but I have a reason as of why she doesn't have orange eyes. It's because I think they thought that green would look a lot better on her eyes than orange. I mean, try swapping her eye color with green and orange. I mean, it might look weird. I know Joy's eyes aren't yellow, but that's because her blue eyes match her hair. So, I think the reason why her eyes are green exactly is just because, well, it looks good on the character, and I feel like orange would have maybe made it look a little weird. But I know envy, ennui, and embarrassment all have their skin colored eyes, so maybe there is a meaning to her green eyes, but I honestly don't think that there is. Now, this next one comes from Milk Evan, hopefully, or 11. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And they write, "With these emotions being part of joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, or will they turn out to be evil in the end of the movie and not be a part of them?" Well, I don't think they're going to be evil at all. I mean, I think they're going to be very good characters. They may be a bit annoying because they may not know exactly what to do at first, but I do think that they will kind of like learn how to work with the rest of the emotions, kind of like how sadness kind of learned to work with joy in the first movie. And, well, I don't think they're gonna be bad guys at all. I mean, I think they're gonna be super good guys, not just for the movie, but probably also for, like, merchandising and toys and stuff. And there has been a question of, like, why doesn't the parents or any of the other people have anxiety or, like, the other emotions? Well, I think that's because maybe those emotions, they don't really use those a whole lot, and they only come rarely. And the last comment we're going to be reading before I give you my prediction on how this movie is going to end. This comes from some Star Guy, Fall Guy, and they write, "I wonder how 9 of them will interact with each other." Well, I think there's going to be a lot of bickering and fighting throughout this group, and they're going to have to learn how to work together. And they may not like each other at first, or might be really annoyed by them, and the dynamic is probably going to be all over the place. But I think by the end of the movie, they will learn that they can work together, and maybe the other new emotions won't be like there a whole lot, which may explain why the parents don't necessarily have those emotions. But I think those emotions in Riley's head won't go away. They just will kind of be like in the background, and they won't really be used a whole lot. And the final part about the video, before I say everything before I go, is basically how do I think this movie is going to end? Well, I think there's a few ways this movie can end. One, either the new emotions can just leave and maybe they won't ever come back, and maybe that'll explain exactly why the other characters don't have like those emotions in their head. Or two, I think they may introduce even more new emotions, and I think they may even be setting up a third film as well, because I think that Inside Out is going to be turned into an entire trilogy. I mean, Finding Dory had an end credit scene that left off on a cliffhanger, and I hope they do Finding Marlin someday. But with Inside Out 2, I think we will get introduced to a brand new emotion that's like mysterious. I think this emotion right here, greed, I don't know if we'll ever see that emotion. I know that's like a deleted missing emotion, but I do think by the end of the movie, or by in a post credit scene, we will see a new emotion kind of like pop out, and we will kind of like have not the happiest ending, and it'll kind of set things up for another movie, which if that was the case, I would love that. Thank you. All right, that's pretty much it for the video, everybody. Thank you so much for submitting all those questions on Twitter and on YouTube as well in my community tab. And while I might be doing these for like Toy Story 5 and other future Disney sequels that I'm like well aware of and I'm a big fan of because I'm a big fan of a lot of Disney films. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe. And if you're excited for Inside Out 2, leave your thoughts down below. And if you have more questions, well, maybe ask me someday when I do another one of these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.